The RB25 teardown is in full effect. Alberto, have you been enjoying this?
It's quite fun, yeah. I like tearing things down. The only thing is I'm running out of room to put stuff on.
Okay, so why in the past have you told me over and over again how much you hate RBs? Like, what's the reasoning? I want to know.
Well, every time you see an RB, because they're super cheap too and easy to get, a lot of people just like don't do it right. So you'd be like a bunch of like half-assed engines and always breaking and giving problems. But then this time around, you're talking about doing it right and making it reliable. So we're gonna pretty much show people how to properly do your RB with the things that you need. So I'm having fun with this thing.
I find it kind of ironic that we're using the word reliable and RB in the same sentence. That's the goal. A lot of you guys, specifically the people from Australia and New Zealand, have been giving us a lot of useful feedback in the comment section. I've been reading all the comments and advice. As one thing, you guys said, do not go with the N1 oil pump. Now we are not doing the N1 oil pump, and we're going down a different route, which I will explain once we get to that stage. But anyway, I just want to thank you guys for all the feedback and advice, because I do insanely value all your opinions. I recognize that you guys have way more knowledge than we do with RVs, and we are taking every piece of feedback that you give us and using it as much as we can. Block is pretty much torn apart. Head needs to come off. I'm curious to see what the condition of the short block looks like. Very interesting engine to me. Did notice, looks like the belt was recently replaced. Rubber's still in good condition. I don't see any scoring on the cams or any evidence of like debris flying around, so that's good. One of the best things you guys can possibly own, I usually use these for like tie rod stuff and racks, but if you need to clamp onto something with an adjustable wrench, this is the bee's knees, because then you can just, and it's super tight. All right, blast away. Was that even necessary?
Well, they didn't want it to move.
Okay. It's basically an adjustable wrench, but there's a little lever that pushes those threads to give you just a little bit of extra clamping force to make sure you're not going to slip on whatever you're on. It's really cool. This is cool and new and exciting to me. The way that these cams are, there's actually like a groove here, so you can leave the heads assembled and you can get to the head studs. That way we can take the heads assembled to the machine shop. Alberto, you said that's important. Why is that important?
Yeah, because you're putting new valve guides and they're gonna have to do a valve job, so they can do the proper valve height and check clearances with the cams and everything. So they're gonna need it anyway, so might as well just bring it assembled. It's less stuff to carry.
Springs and titanium retainers, valve guides, valve seals. That's it, right? Am I forgetting anything? And then head gasket, head studs?
Valve guides?
Yeah, I think I said that.
Oh,
Barn from Mars Enthalpy says like I could probably just leave this head stock and be fine, but I figure while they're out of the car, might as well do a mild build just to prevent valve float, even though I guess that's not like a thing until you're over 700 horsepower. The moment of truth. Lift the head. Yuck. I was about to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's not, oh, that does seem like quite a bit of oil on top of the cylinders, no, Alberto?
well, this oil is from the head, but yeah, there's quite a bit of oil on top of the cylinders.
So how does oil get on top of the cylinders? Is that from like valves not sealing properly, or is that from blow-by?
Could be either one. The valves are shiny. You can see the whole combustion chamber is all shiny, so it's consuming oil.
How do you think it was consuming the oil?
It could be bad valve seals, or it could be that it's having blowbacks for the cylinders and the oil rings is just like all like carbon up and just allowing oil to go up.
We won't be using the factory oil cooler anymore. We're gonna do an external oil cooler just like I have in my S13. All right, so this is a good moment. Well, I guess a bad moment, but a good moment because it makes me feel very good about the decision to open up the bottom end, because look at what's chilling right here on this little mesh. Is that aluminum, Alberto?
Yeah, there's a bunch on the oil pan too.
Look, there's all this metal. All this metal just chilling in the oil pan, on that little filter. I just don't understand, what could it have come from? Do you have any idea?
Oh, there's like bigger chunks in here.
Really? What the heck? This makes me feel so ridiculous when I was freaking out about my SR having like little like maybe like metal dust in the oil. This is like actual like big chunks.
Ring line crack. Ring line crack.
That's cylinder one?
Yeah.
Dang. Where'd the bearing go?
It was already wearing the bearings as well. These are the rod bearings for piston number 1. We still have to see the rest.
I'm feeling really, really good about taking this thing apart now because it was pretty sketchy.
Yeah, so cracked ringland and worn rod bearings. That was gonna be failure just waiting to happen.
Cylinder number 2 has cracked ringlands too.
This is 6.
Oh, this is 6?
Yeah.
It's 2 in my book, Alberto. Another broken ringland. All right. 3 for 3. Kind of funny, me and Alberto are both thinking the reason why I had consistent 120 compression is probably because consistently all the ringlands were broken.
But this bearing doesn't look very happy either.
Yeah, it's not a happy bearing.
Showing. This is 4-cylinder, no, 5th. And it's broken in the same spot here and here on the flat, so I was like, why?
Consistently broken.
Yep.
I just want to find where that aluminum came from.
Well, there's like some like marks here that's like some stuff flying around. I wonder almost if this engine was like blown before and they rebuilt it, but they never fully cleaned the engine before.
So there's just all that metal just like floating around?
Probably. I mean, we still have 2 more cylinders to check. But
That'd be so sketchy. Ironically, one of the low compression cylinders that was down 20 psi doesn't have a cracked ringland. If you guys want the piston that isn't broken, maybe for one of your RV builds at home or something, I'll put a link in the description. We're gonna do $20 or best offer.
you gotta, it's like Pirates of the Caribbean, like that one guy who has to list one survival to tell this tale or whatever. So this piston gets to tell the tale.
That was over my head. I never watched that movie.
What happened in there, Mr. Piston? I don't know, man. There was a lot of booze in there. It was crazy. Everybody else cracked, but I made it. This is a cylinder that had the lowest compression. You can see there's scuffing. It's broken here, scuffing up here. Let's turn it the other way.
Where did all the metal come from though? That's scaring me.
I don't know. There's nothing missing from the pistons.
The whole engine building thing and teardown is fun, but one thing that I do not really like about when we do this stuff is my garage literally turns into just a giant mess with parts and stuff everywhere, and it's normally a thing that lasts for multiple weeks until you get it back in the car. And then weeks later, surprisingly, it happens again. It's a process. Definitely feeling overwhelmed by pulling everything out of this bay, but part of the hardest part is just starting. I want to get this thing stripped hopefully within the next 24 hours, so that way I can get it over to Randy and he can have all the time he needs to spray the bay and it won't be a rush like when I normally bring stuff to him. I just basically started pulling off random stuff to make myself feel like I'm getting something done on the bay, so tomorrow it isn't as daunting. I wanted to start pulling apart all the power steering stuff, but I think I want to wait for Alberto to get his input because I know we're deleting all the Hikis stuff, and I don't know necessarily like how he wants me to remove it, because I know there is like an easier way to do it, like if I take the lines off in a certain way, and I don't want to forget how anything's hooked up. So I have been taking lots of pictures, always important to do, and trying to save bolts, remember where they go. So right now I just kind of pulled out the harness and some of the crap over here, pulled out some of the crap back there, kind of started taking apart the headlights and the front end. I think tomorrow will be the main day, actually like getting everything out of the bay, but for now I just wanted to get a head start rather than just kind of leaving at this sad disassembled engine. So tomorrow what you guys can expect is an update, probably in terms of what we're getting done to the motor, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll do that, and ripping apart this bay completely, getting it all ready to go over to paint. So thank you guys for watching. Yes, this has turned into a project, not my intention with the car, but I'm extremely excited for this RB setup. Between the input from you guys and the input from all the RB experts that are in my close circle of friends, I'm feeling very confident about this. So we'll see how it goes, but we're gonna make cool, rad RB turbo noises and have fun in this 4-door Skyline crashing into other Skylines or whatever cars we decide to crash into. So thank you guys. I hope you're stoked as I am, and I will see you tomorrow.